This video is to introduce you to the Watercolor Studio. So it's your watercolor intro. So the Watercolor Studio is always kept right here. It's in just a box that says Watercolor Studio, and these are the things it should have in it. Everything that it should have is listed right here on the box. So we're going to go over what it is and how you are going to use it. So in the box, you'll see there's some masking tape. Okay, this is to be used only for the video that says you need masking tape. Otherwise, you should just keep this in here. There's also some rubbing alcohol and salt. These need to be closed completely. You have to press down pretty hard on them to make sure that they're completely closed because we don't want that to spill inside the studio. There are also 8 different watercolor sets, all right, that look like, actually 7 different watercolor sets that look like this, and one, if you're ready to move on to some more advanced watercolor set, that looks like this. Inside the advanced watercolor set, there's actually a watercolor brush, so it should be put back like that, okay, and they have 2 sponges here, which we'll go over later. All right, now, if you are using the watercolors, you'll need to get, just when you use the acrylic, you'll need to get your brushes, which are right here, okay? They need to be put back exactly. We've learned how to wash the brush when you swirl it in the water and make sure no paint is on it, and then put it hairdo up when you're done. So when you're ready to watercolor, you'll need to get the Watercolor Studio out. You'll need to get some watercolor paper from me. I don't keep the watercolor paper here. So when you're ready, you can say, come to me and say, I'm ready for the watercolor paper. And then you'll need to choose kind of an array of brushes, okay? The brushes and your paint well. So you need to make sure that you get your paint well, put the water on it. Just like we do with the acrylic paint, you need to put newspaper down before you start, all right? But one thing that you should know to do when you do watercolor, all right, when you get your watercolor out and you get your paint well out, so if I have my water well, and I've got my paintbrush and I have my newspaper down, don't forget to put your newspaper down, you're probably going to use this part right here to mix your watercolors. It often takes a lot of water to get the color you need. And with these watercolors especially, you really need to get your brush down in there to get the paint, okay? So you can bring the watercolor out to the side here, all right? So now, what you need to do is set yourself up with the newspaper, with the watercolors and the water, and get everything you need, and you can come to me for the watercolor paper. You need to go to the video called Watercolor Techniques. So when you have your watercolor paper, you have everything set up, you're going to go to the video called Watercolor Techniques. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because you're actually going to need to follow along with the video, but you can't have your computer at the table. So you can either get a desk, you can get a chair, or you can put your computer on the counter and then move your table close to the counter so that your computer is, for example, if you're watercoloring, all right, you could have your watercolors here at this counter, your computer here at this counter, and then set yourself up here at a table so that you can be watercoloring, pause the video, do what it says, then come back and go to the next video, okay? So this is just the introduction to show you where everything is. The next thing is Watercolor Techniques, that video that should be next on your watercolor playlist. Enjoy!